Welcome to the Amazingly Alcohol-Free Mother and Daughter podcast. I'm Jaime.
And I'm Jules.
And we're here to share our honest and unfiltered experience of how alcohol has impacted both of our lives and our relationship, and to show you that change is absolutely possible. Our whole lives, my mom, Jules, has always said, we can do anything because we're girls. And now we're not just saying it, we're actually living it every single freaking day. We believe in progress over perfection, and we are proof that we can do hard and often uncomfortable things. All right. I'm so excited to be here today. How are you doing, Jules?
Doing great. Thanks. Outside enjoying the view and the
I
weather.
love it. We're so professional. You are just outside in beautiful Packwood, Washington by Mount Rainier, just like enjoying the beautiful air. I love it. Such a great way to record our podcast this morning.
I know. I'm still in my pajamas. Let's do this.
I love it. I mean, we are unfiltered and we're just us, right? So awesome. So glad to be here again. And thank you for everybody that's listening. We've gotten really good feedback on the first episode, and this is only our second episode. So we would love it if you could continue to share and rate and review, just because we want to continue to share our message with other women, daughters, anybody that could benefit from hearing our story, right? So today I wanted to dig into a little bit more of my story and how it related to yours, Jules, aka my mother, and just kind of share. Because when you shared your story last week, there was a lot of similarities as far as like I started drinking in the seventh grade. So did you. So I wanted to dig into that a little bit further. So for me, as Jules said, she grew up in a drinking culture, and so did I. Obviously, because Jules is my mom. So I think one of the things for me growing up, it was drinking was just always just part of the norm. And it had to do not only with my mom and my stepdad, but also had to do with my grandma and my grandpa. So really on my mom's side. On my dad's side, drinking wasn't really a big thing. I think on my grandpa's, I remember my grandpa Richard on my dad's side always having maybe like a glass of red wine on Christmas or something like that. But like alcohol was never in their house. So it was really on my mom's side of the family. And so growing up, we just always had alcohol in the house. And it was just part of the norm. And obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just kind of just who we were, right? And I think another thing too for me is I have three older brothers. So Dave is my brother. We have the same parents. And then I also have Corey and Stevie, who are my step brothers as well. And so I've known them since I was 2 years old. So they were always drinking and partying too. And I, as the youngest sibling, wanted to be just like them. So I think for me, it was really just a mix of one, just growing up in a drinking culture, but also having my older brothers that I looked up to that really helped, like really influenced kind of why I started drinking in general. So I had my first beer in the seventh grade, and I remember, and I don't know how it started, but I was really close with my two buddies, Jen and Cassandra. And I remember taking a Bud Light out of our fridge in our house growing up and bringing it over to their house, and we stayed the night. And I remember I cracked open the beer, and the three of us drank that one beer, and we thought we were being so cool, but we were also like doing something we weren't supposed to do. And it just felt like we were just, kind of figuring out, I don't know, even know how to explain it. Like we just thought we were so cool. We were doing what our older siblings did. And Jen and Cassandra also had older siblings and kind of in the same group. And all of our family members were super popular. So we felt like we were like doing what they did, and we wanted to be cool too. And we wanted to be popular. So we had that first beer. And I think for me, that's when it really started. And I remember at the seventh grade dance, I started, and you don't know this, Jules, but we had a seventh grade dance later that year. And I do have a picture of the seventh grade dance. I wish I could show it for you guys, but literally it's like a picture of me and all my friends. And I have tanning goggle marks on my eyes because I was always hitting the tanning bed. But fun fact about this dance, I was collecting beers from the fridge, about one a day for a long period of time. And I was hiding
No.
them under my bed in a box. And for some reason, I don't remember why I was doing this, how this happened. I put them in a Nike bag and brought them to our middle school for the middle school dance. And so I was like hiding these beers, but luckily I didn't drink them. I didn't do anything. I think I got really nervous because I was always a really good kid. Like I always got good grades. I was really big into sports. But I remember doing that, and I was so freaked out because I brought these beers, but luckily I didn't. But I think that beer with Jen and Cassandra in the room is really where it started for me. And then I found out when I was starting to drink, specifically when I got into high school, it helped me fit in with the older kids. Again, older brothers, they all kind of knew who I was because I was Corey and Dave's little sister. And I always like talked about that, like, ooh, they're my brothers, you know, and I just like that's how I wanted to fit in. And I found out that alcohol would help. I thought alcohol would make me fit in even more. And when I started drinking, I found that it gave me more confidence. It made me feel cool. It also, I've always been an introvert, very, very shy, and it just let me open up. And so I was doing that really for myself just to build like confidence because I thought it gave me confidence and also really just for people to like me. And so that's really how it started for me. And it just became who I was. But in high school, I was always doing sports. I played golf, basketball, and but I got really good grades. I was like on leadership council, but I was also a partier on the side. And so like I was kind of this mix of both. I hung out with like older kids, but kids of my age. It was just kind of this mix that I was always kind of just friends with everybody, but I had this little wild party side. So does that sound familiar to you?
No, it does not. I had no idea you were drinking at such a young age. And I feel sad about it
Why?
instantly when you said that, you were hoarding the beers and everything and trying to fit in because I don't know, because I'm your mom. And it just made me sad that you had to do that just like I did when I was in school to fit in and to be comfortable. And it just made me really sad.
Aw, it's weird, it doesn't make me sad. I just for me, I just feel like it's just part of my experience, honestly, and I feel about this place where I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have these experiences and doing what I love doing. Is that crazy? Like, do you feel like I should be more sad? 'Cause I'm not. I feel like I'm like, it's just part of who I was and what I did, and to be honest, it turned out okay, and I always say that, "How did I turn out so well?"
Exactly.
It's crazy family.
You shouldn't be sad. You shouldn't be sad. It's just that you're my kid. You're my baby, my youngest child. And
Yeah.
I I wanted so much for you to be not like me. I wanted you to be
Yeah.
confident and to fit in with people at
Yeah.
school. I mean, you were perfect in my eyes.
Mhm.
And I knew that the two older brothers were drinking, but I didn't know that you and Corey would be drinking. But Corey, it wouldn't surprise me because he's a boy and had
Yeah.
friends that drank. But with you, I didn't have any idea at all. And
Yeah.
I think the reason you were hoarding those beers, I thought to myself, that's because you wanted to say, "Hey, look at me. I've got beers
Yeah.
for everybody, and we'll
Yes.
have a party." And then you just fit in that way.
Yes. Everybody loves that. And I just
Mhm.
thought about something else too. I remember, so growing up, Jules, where she is right now in Packwood, Washington, that's right by Mount Rainier, they had a place down the street and it was right next to my grandparents' house. So I've spent the last 40 years going to Packwood. And then so growing up, a lot of the times Jules and my stepdad would go to Packwood for the weekend. And often, because all the kids were playing sports and stuff, they would leave me with my older brothers. And so I believe I was in eighth grade, and it was right before I think I was starting to be a freshman. I was supposed to go to a friend's house, but for some reason I was at home, and my brother Corey was having a party at our house. So you guys were out of town. And I'm talking a straight out rager at this house. It was the best time of my life, to be honest. Like back then, thinking about it, I had so much fun. There's just like freedom when your parents are gone, you know? And also, Corey let me be there because I probably had to be there. And I remember I was drinking at that party. And this was after I had the first beers, like in seventh grade. So I think it was like probably later that year in eighth grade. That's when I learned about filling vodka bottles with water because that's what Corey was doing. And so I remember doing that. And also, I was partying. Everybody was treating me like this cool kid sister. I was feeling drunk, pretty drunk for the first time. And I think that's when I was, whoa, this is it. I want this. I want this feeling. I want this freedom. I want this fun. Everybody likes me. And I just felt like a really part of it. Right. It was also something that like I could come back to my friends and be like, oh my gosh, this is what I did this weekend. And I remember the next day I helped clean up the party. And so Corey was paying me money and I was literally going through the couch cushions looking for bottle caps. I was in the backyard looking for them and like cigarette butts and help cleaning, and they'd pay me like $20. And then that's how I learned to clean up for myself and throw my own parties. And so throughout high school, I was throwing parties a lot. And I remember just you guys going out of town, and I would throw these parties, and but it was, like, with a different crowd because I was also hanging out with this really good crowd of kids, but I kind of shifted and then started doing parties and stuff like that at the house, and I remember one day you came home and I was throwing a party. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you were so mad at me, so mad. But I don't remember ever talking about alcohol with you or anything like that. Do you remember having open conversations with me about alcohol? I remember you saying something about pot's better than alcohol, but that's really all I remember.
Oh, it's better than alcohol. That's what stands out. Um, well,
But we didn't have pot growing up or anything. You guys weren't like potheads or
no,
anything. But I just
no.
remember you I
I
think I remember you saying, I'd rather have you drive high on weed versus alcohol." I feel like I remember that. I don't know why I remember
I
that,
always
but
always felt like alcohol was so dangerous for my kids.
yeah.
And here I was drinking it, so but I didn't want you to go down the same path. I wanted you to, I was so surprised that you drank. I was in shock,
Yeah.
and coming from where I was at seventh grade, you'd think that would be something I would expect, but I didn't. I didn't even know. Um, but yeah, and at some point we had a keg refrigerator in the garage. And like, one time we came home and there's beers under the deck, and Stevie and a friend were playing pool or something, I think. And so I asked him about it, and he said, "Well, a man's got to have a beer at the end of a long school day."
Oh, please.
This keg might not be the best idea for all these kids coming up. But that's Stevie.
Did you get mad at Stevie for drinking?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Okay, how mad did you get? Because I feel like when you caught me drinking alcohol, the rage came out. Like, you were whoa, you were mad at me. So, was it different for you to find out? And also, I'm your daughter, right? Stevie has a different mom. But did you and he's older too, but did you and he's just it's just Stevie. But did you find a difference between how you would approach me versus him or your other kids drinking? Because 'Cause I'm a girl?
Yes. I hate to say it, but it's very true. Yeah, I got after him and, I was like, "You can't be doing that, with your friends who are drinking beer. You're not old enough or whatever." And I got on him about it, but then Todd just laughed it off, because then he
Yeah.
said, "Don't do it again," then he was kinda annoyed, but,
Yeah.
it was just like having a couple beers like normal, after school. Yes, I treated the boys differently than I did Jamie. And I thought, well, the boys will be fine, but Jamie, I was worried about because what if she got drunk and something happened with a boy or
Yeah.
anything driving, and so I was really upset.
So I think it's different just how we, treat daughters versus our sons. And it sounds like, yeah, it's like you felt like the boys could just take care of themselves and they'd be okay. But like that worry about me because, I think women like we are, when we are drinking, we're taken advantage of, right? And that can happen. And so I appreciate you for worrying about me.
Well, it happened to me, in 10th grade. Went to a party
Yeah.
and started drinking. The parents weren't there, but
Yeah.
that I was told the parents were going to be there.
Yeah.
And I was drinking, and one of the guy that had the house just said, "Oh, come back. I want you to see this trailer that we have. My mom's trailer. My mom and dad are back here." So I said,
Mm.
"Sure." Went back there, and I came home with torn pants, the
Oh,
most humiliating experience. Um, I was just in shock, and I went home. My pants were all torn up, and it just led to something awful in high school because
yeah.
people found out about it. It was just absolutely terrible, and
Good.
I haven't thought about that for so long.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Well, I can remember a friend of mine got so mad that called the mom up of this guy, and she said, "It is her fault. She's a little she's just a wild kid, and she's the one who deserved it, and my son didn't do anything wrong. It's her fault."
Oh,
And I just it was awful, and everybody was talking about it at school because this friend of mine and some of her guy friends were gonna go over and get justice,
yeah.
for this. And
Yeah.
mom kept calling, and then these my friend kept calling the mom, and it was just "Oh, your mom must be really proud of you," she would say. "No, you're just a little slut." Yeah, and
Oh my
Used to she's
gosh.
defending her son.
Yeah.
It was just a nightmare, and I thought about that. I did not want anything to happen to you, like it did to me. I wanted you to be
Yeah.
different, better than
Yeah.
me, and safe.
Oh,
I
so
think I was really
sorry.
hard on well, it's really hard on you. Thank you. I was really hard on you that way, you know?
And thank you for sharing that, 'cause I'd have never heard that from you. And so obviously it's that happened and assault is terrible. And obviously it's not your fault 100%. And I think a lot of women experience the exact same thing and they blame themselves for it. Right. And so how did you treat yourself after that happened? Did you believe what this person's mom was saying to you? Did you have anybody to talk to at the time?
Every word she said cut me like a knife. I believed every word of it, every word she said. And then it was all going around school. Some people were defending him, some people were defending me. It was just all out in the open. You know, this group of people went over to beat him up, and he wasn't home, and it
Mm,
just
God.
actually can't even remember my high school years. I mean, after I don't know, now I think about it, maybe that's why, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I was thinking, years ago, I thought, "Why can't I really remember high school?" You know, the best time of people's life, because I can't think of anything to my experiences in high school. So I was wondering if after that, I just shut down.
Yeah.
And I just started working more, and I just wanted to get away from people. But I moved out at 17, and I was living with a friend, and so when I came home, she knew what something happened, and it's all got worse and worse from there. But I just wanted to protect you. I don't want you to be
Yeah.
in a position like that. You never knew
No.
why I was so hard on you. I'm sure.
Yeah. And I wonder too, like, if you would have told me that, when I was, in my younger years, when I was starting to kind of learn about alcohol and starting, as I was getting older in high school and stuff. I wonder if you would have shared that too, if that would have helped me understand more, right? Versus thinking like, "Oh, she's just really mad at me for drinking and she doesn't want me to drink." You know what I mean? And just being able to be open because I feel like growing up, we didn't really talk about things, and we're obviously talking about things more now than we ever have. But just being able to like communicate and share why behind things, and that's something I really try to do with my kids too. Instead of just saying, "No, you can't do this for that reason," it's like, well, obviously, you had a very, very personal struggle with that and something that was just awful that happened to you, and that's why you were so worried about me, you know what I mean?
But yes, and I never told anyone. I was so ashamed of that whole experience. I wish I had was could be wiped off the earth. And that
Oh,
I
oh my gosh.
the whole town, it seemed like to me, the whole school
Mm.
and the whole town, the small town back then, it was
Yeah,
talking about it. It was a big deal. And I just wanted to jump in a hole and hide. So I didn't
yeah,
tell anyone. I never even thought about telling you. I thought, it's something that I tucked away and I forgot about for many, many years, like until probably the last 5 years. I thought about it a
yeah.
little bit, but I never told my kids.
Yeah. Do you feel like, because you're coming on 1 year alcohol free, which is outstanding, and I'm gonna talk about that a lot because 'cause I'm so proud of you, but do you feel like since you've gone alcohol free, that you are able to kind of process some of the trauma that you've had over the years and just being able to feel a little bit more and really kind of, like, work through this stuff? Because, like, that's really hard on you, Jules, and I'm so, like, thankful that you're sharing this with me now, and how do you feel now reflecting on your history and your past and with alcohol? How have you been kind of dealing with it, or how's it been benefiting you, I guess, rather?
Since I quit drinking, I feel feelings and thoughts that I have banished. For years I never wanted to think about them again. And everything's kind of popping up and it's clearer now, of course.
Yeah.
And my relationship with Jamie and my kids and my grandkids is so great. And I remember a time when we were at the dinner table. I don't think Jamie was there. And I nodded off in my plate.
No, talk about that all the time. I think
And
about that all the time.
I had
I
grandkids
remember
there.
that.
I had grandkids there, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I would never ever wanna go back to that life." But,
Yes.
I didn't think about it for all these years, so it was kind of just blank. And now
Yeah.
all these things are coming to my mind, like, what all these things I did when I was on alcohol. It's just a nightmare to think about.
Uh,
Long way, and I still
mhm.
feel like I I'm afraid to fail.
Yeah.
So that's that's something I thought, how would I ever tell my kids if I, start drinking again or whatever? But
Yeah.
I just want to keep it going and, do everything I possibly do to stay alcohol free. So changed my life completely.
Ah, and I think one of the things too, it's like most of us women, that have struggles with alcohol, we drink because we want to numb our feelings. We want to check out, whether it's, for, sad things that has happened to us. It could be just celebrating things, just, just everyday struggles, just working, anything, right? And we do that being a parent, and we do it to numb it. But we were meant to feel our feelings, right? And that's what it's all about. And here's the thing, you're gonna be okay if you have some feelings that don't feel good, right? If you have some, like, sad feelings, you have grief, like, you're okay. We can do hard things, and that's what we're meant to. We're meant to feel them and not numb them. And I think this whole alcohol-free journey for me, I'm actually able to sit with my feelings now. And some days I might have bad days, but for the most part, they're really freaking good. But those bad days, I'm able to sit in them and do what's like right for me. And whether it just be zone out and watch a show. I love TV. I'm a big TV girl. I talk about it all the time. Or go for a walk or just call a friend. Right? And so I think that's like key. And if you're drinking, you're not able to process this. I mean, you're talking about like 50 years of trauma what you've been dealing with, and now you're able to actually talk about it, and you're doing it on a freaking podcast, which is crazy, right? And I think, like, it's just very therapeutic to say it out loud and also just know, like, we are human, right? And a lot of women have gone through what you've gone and what I've gone through too, and we're not alone, and I think that's the key too here, and it's like, how can we move forward now, and not be hard on ourselves for the things that have happened in the past. And I feel like a lot of the things is just starting to love ourselves through this process of healing and just being able to feel our feelings and to kind of process all the things that have happened in our life and just realize like we are just human and we're gonna be okay and we're still figuring it out every day. And if we fail, that's okay. We'll get up and keep going, right?
Yes. I'm from immigrant grandparents from Croatia. And
Yeah.
when I grew up, it was normal. You don't express your feelings. You have no feelings. You
Yes.
just, you don't say anything. You just deal with it as with life and you don't complain. You work hard and don't complain about your life or your feelings. Nobody talked about feelings,
Yes.
back then. And so this is very new to me, even at my age of almost 70.
Yeah.
Um, and was having a hard time dealing with some of these things, and I haven't thought about in years. And I started to
Mm.
talk to Jamie a little bit about it, or with Jamie's group and the incredible women in her group. I could tell them anything, and I've never shared my feelings with people.
No.
It's not me. And all of a sudden, I found myself in the middle of the night, just texting people and saying, in the group text that Jamie has, and somebody was always there for me, and nobody ever
Yeah.
you they never made me feel bad or anything. They just supported me, and I could tell them anything, and they still wouldn't judge me. And I think it's just this is all so new to me.
Yes. I love that so much. You're doing amazing, and I'm so glad that you shared today about your experiences in high school. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. Just processing this, and it helps, and sharing your story with the world, it helps. And also, just again, letting people know that you're not alone. I appreciate you just caring so much for me and not wanting that to happen to me too. And that's why, you took it a little bit harder on me, not just because I'm a girl, but because you experienced things that no one should ever have to experience, like when they're drinking alcohol, right? And the story also reminded me of the movie Easy A. Have you seen Easy A?
No.
Okay, so it's a great movie. Easy A is a movie with Emma Stone. It's great. And then Penn Badgley is like the main guy, but it has a great cast. Stanley Tucci's in it. Patricia Clarkson, love them. Thomas Hayden Church, so good. And also Phoebe's in it from Friends. So Emma Stone is her name's Olive. Her best friend somehow misreads her and thinks that she slept with like this college guy over the weekend, but Emma Stone is literally just at home. And she was singing that song by Natasha Bedingfield that's like a pocket full of sunshine. It was so cute. You got to watch the movie. But so this rumor starts spreading that she like hooks up and then she's like a slut. And so she ends up like everybody says that, right? And so it's just in the whole movie, it just makes me feel it's like a great movie. It's like a comedy, but it just makes me so sad and kind of sick and uncomfortable because all these rumors about this woman, and she honestly didn't do anything wrong. And it's just like people talking about her, calling her names, just like men, just like they are these high schoolers putting passes on her. And it just like reminded me of when you're sharing that. It's just so awful to that women have to deal with this stuff. And
That's so
they're
painful
living
just
on
to hear the
alcohol.
story about this movie even.
Yes.
It's painful.
Yes. So thank you for sharing that today. And I just appreciate you so much. But is there anything else that you want to add for this podcast today?
I just wanted to add that I think it's time to make huge changes in this family, and Jamie has given me the opportunity and the tools to do that. So my granddaughter has a different life. Even though all of these family alcohol kind of things came up, traditions or whatever, or past, and it's time for a change for my little 4-year-old granddaughter and my grandson and all my other grandkids. It just, I don't know. I want to be I want them to look up to me and be proud of me, not be ashamed and embarrassed of me, and that they wanna do what I'm doing.
I feel the same way, and so this is really funny. So Charlotte is 4, she is adorable, and she, pays attention to everything I say, or and everything we say in this family. She has this crazy memory, and so we were walking in the grocery store the other day. She comments on the alcohol, and she goes, "Oh, there's alcohol, but we don't buy that," and I go, "Why don't we buy that?" And she goes, "'Cause it's poison." So I've already teached her, and then
Yeah,
yesterday, we were at the dinner table, and I was like, "Charlotte, what do I do for work?" Because I used to work for Amazon, and the kids always love that because we get toys from Amazon, right? And she says, "You all help women not drink alcohol." And she goes, "And I'm not gonna drink alcohol when I'm older too." And I'm like, "Yay!" And but here's the thing though, like my goal is to show them that, 1, we can do anything. Both my kids, we can do hard things because that's what we were meant to do. 2, I wanna show them and lead by example by working out. I wanna show them that I feel my feelings, that I cry, like, and that is okay. And if they're feeling sad, they're okay to feel that, right? You're not I'm never gonna be like, "Stop crying right now." Like, that doesn't work for me. Also, I'm gonna show them that, like, this alcohol and other drugs and kind of what they do, but also it's their decision at the end of the day when they're old enough to make their own decisions. But I'm hoping just living in this like really open, loving environment where we focus on health and like feeling good and processing our feelings, that it will help them one day. I mean, I'm scared that I'm doing stuff wrong every day. I am, but I'm hoping that both of us are changing kind of, this cycle of generational drinking that we've had in our family, and I think it does start with us, right? And so I'm excited to see kind of where it takes them, both of my children, but regardless, they're gonna be A-okay, and I know that just because, they're gonna grow up in a household, there's no alcohol in this house right now, and I think that's great, but maybe one day they might explore, and I'm fine with that too, but I'm hoping that they're gonna just see from us that we don't need that, right? We don't need it to have fun, we don't need it to be funny, we don't need it to numb our feelings. We don't need it to fit in, and we're perfect just the way we are.
it's amazing that you grew up and you're so awesome. I'm so proud of you, and
Thank you.
you and Luke are such good parents,
Mm.
and I'm just proud of everything you do.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jules. Well, thank you everybody for listening today. And just remember that no matter what happens, drinking is not going to make it better. You got this and keep going, and we'll see you later.